we have the deck manager for Mana Mastery. So let's go ahead and go over this. It's a very enjoyable deck. I enjoyed playing it quite a bit. I think it's probably one of the better decks out there because it has so many answers for everything. So we start off with 2 Evolving Wilds, which are just sack, search for a basic land, put it into play tapped. Same thing with Terramorphics, 4 of those. It runs 4 Rampant Growths, which are an absolute must. I run 2 Savage Twisters because I like the early game able to deal with aggressive decks. And then the late game able to deal with very big things on the field. You can kind of pick and choose what you when you need it the most. It's never a bad thing. Not to mention the green and red are kind of 2 of your primary colors, so you're okay with that being a cost. Now, as far as Bant Charm goes, I don't play Bant Charm. You already have a ton of things that destroy artifacts. You already have a ton of things that destroy creatures. And as far as countering an instant spell, do you really need to do that in this deck? There are a ton of other things you can do. So it's just keeping up that mana. Even if you keep up that mana, people are going to be afraid that you have a Bant Charm. So just the intimidation of it being there is more than enough. You absolutely have to run 4 Cultivates. Search your library for 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, put one on the battlefield and 1 into your hand. Great deck thinning, great mana excel. I don't think I mentioned how good it was in the preview. I kind of looked over it and was just kind of like, oh yeah, all the mana excelled and this is terrible. This is absolutely amazing. Jund Charm is another way to deal with early aggressive decks. It's good against anything that pulls anything out of the graveyard or targets anything in the graveyard, and it's good because you can just make a creature or 2 bigger. So Jund Charm is absolutely amazing all around. Every ability on it has been used, except for maybe the exile all cards in the videos that I have coming out. But again, that's a very situational thing, and it's a good thing to have because a lot of times with Reanimate being in, you just be like, nope, you don't get to target that. I do play Lavalanche because it doesn't target your creatures. Not that you have that many to worry about anyway, but it's still just a good burn spell late game. Very rarely do I cast it for less than 7 because of the mana excel and just how steady the deck is up to that point. So I definitely like to keep Lavalanche in there. Maelstrom Pulse is an absolute must. The ability to destroy 2-for-1 things or just wipe out an entire field of tokens is just broken. I do run the Naya Charm. It does 3 damage to target creature. Returns target card from a graveyard to its owner's hand. It's amazing. Amazing. That is, without a doubt, one of the most fun things to do when you're like, oh, I'm going to cast my domain, draw a card. The alliance, whatever it is, the shared alliance. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to draw 5 cards. Oh, look, I drew Naya Charm. I'm going to draw 5 more cards. Next turn. Amazing. Fun, broken things you can do with that. The Pernicious Deed removes everything with converted mana cost X or less, except for lands. So it's definitely something you want to keep in there. Vindicates. Destroy target permanent for 3 mana. You can use this against the mirror to limit their colors. You can use it against so many decks to just destroy whatever you feel like destroying. Permanents, anything you want. Now the Day of Judgment, up to this point we have so much removal. We have the 2 Savage Twisters, we have the Lavalanche, we have the Pernicious Deed. I just don't feel like the Doge is absolutely necessary. I want to keep 1 in here, just for that one time that we need it, and we can draw it. It'll be good, but the thing is, turn 4, very rarely are you going to want to have double white. If you do have double white and one of your 3 Doges, then you're probably in a bad situation anyway. Because you have 2 double whites when you really want 1 of each color by turn 5. So I keep the 1 in there just because it's good to draw late game. You know, if your opponent gets ahead of you, you can use it to just get back ahead. But so I like that. The Glory Sail via Shino. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, it gets +3/+3. I like that aspect of it. there are a lot of things that you're going to cast. You're going to be like, oh, I'm going to Maelstrom Pulse your creature that you're blocking with and attack you for 6. I'm going to Naya Charm, tap all your creatures, and do something else. Play a Pernicious Deed and attack you for 9. You can just do a lot of damage with them. I don't think you need 2. You might need 2. I'm not sure yet. This is kind of what I've been running so far. But at the time I was also running the Nephilim, and I don't know if I need to run the Nephilim or not. We'll see what happens with that. The Lightning Angel just pales in comparison to the rest of the deck. It's blue, which I don't like, so I try not to run it. The Witchmaw Nephilim, again, it's blue. I try not to run it, because the goal is to get it down to 2 blue mana, so that everything else actually has a functional mana base. Now, it can do it without with the Nephilim in here. It's just I don't like playing a 1/1 or a 3/3 the turn it comes out. It's just kind of iffy to me. The allied strategies absolutely must be in here. Even if you're trying to remove blue, like I did, allied strategies is a must. The draw from it is so huge for 5 mana to draw 5 cards. You know, by the time that you cast this, you're thinking there's 40 cards in your deck. That's draw, you know, a good portion of your deck. So that's just huge. Sorry, I've been recording all day. All Sun's Dawn. For each color, return up to 1 target card from of that color from your graveyard to your hand. Exile it. This would be ridiculously playable if it was not Exile it. That's the only reason I'm not running this. I really liked playing it early on, but just the whole it gets exiled type thing is just kind of, you know, it gives you good advantage, but if you draw it too early, it's bad. If you draw it too late, you know, it's not going to save you. So I have it taken out. I'm not a huge fan of it, especially just because of this tile here. If you could bring it back with the worm or with the Naya Charm, it'd be great. Which is, I'm guessing, why it says exile it. The Child of Alara is trample. When it dies, destroy all permanents. They can't be regenerated. Destroy all non-land permanents. Most of the time, it's not going to hurt you, but occasionally it will. And I just don't like that aspect that your opponent can play around it. You know, they can just swing in with creatures less than 6 power, or you know, they can put 4 power or 4 toughness in front of it, and then, you know, do whatever. You know, I feel like if you have the Child of Alara and it's your win condition, that your opponent is okay with killing it. So I don't play it. Again, Finest Hour, I feel like does not fit in this deck at all. Now, if you were, that wouldn't even work. If you had more Exalted, it'd be okay, but it just doesn't do it for me. Fusion Elemental is huge and scary and ginormous, but he doesn't trample, and just too easy to be killed. I don't like him. The Maelstrom Archangel, on the other hand, is ridiculous. Whenever it deals damage to a player, you may cast a non-land card from your hand without paying its mana cost. So you go turn 5 him, turn 6 Progenitus. Ideally, but if not, you turn 6 Broodmate for free. Turn 6 whatever you want for free. The Maelstrom Nexus, just not enough things with Cascade for it to keep rippling. So, Prophetic Bolt. I really like Prophetic Bolt as a kill card, but you have so many kill cards up to that point. You don't need the damage to kill your opponent. The ability to look at a card and put one into your hand is cool, but the rest go on the bottom of your library, so it's not like you can even set up a Cascade from it. So, I'm not playing the Prophetic Bolts. Broodmate Dragon, scary. 2 creatures for the price of 1, please. Sign me up. The Defiler of Souls is really good in this deck, but again, with so many multicolored decks out, you know, the last several packs, not to mention the decks before that, there's a lot of multicolored creatures. So, you know, I don't like the ability of having to sacrifice a Broodmate token if I don't need to. It just, most of the time it's not going to matter, so I just don't bother with it. Elder Mastery is cool, but by this point in the game, your opponent probably doesn't have 2 cards in their hand. You don't really have anything to equip it on before this point anyway, so that's just my logic on that. And it's blue, so get rid of it. The Megalonth is cool, but I just could not fit it in here. Now you could play it in place of one of the Pale Recluses if you want it. Like, these 2 are definitely replaceable for the Pale Recluses, but I don't want to take out the Pale Recluse because the Pale Recluse has the Forest and Plain cycling, which lets you search for a forest or plains for 2 mana. So it gives you the option of having these on top of your mana fixed lands, on top of your Rampant Growths and everything else to get you that forest that you need early. Obviously the Rampant Growth and the Cultivate can't help you with that because you need those, or you need green to cast it, so it's just another way to get the green. I think it makes things a lot more consistent, so I try to play the Pale Recluse, and it's not like it's terrible to play for the 6 mana, it's just not good, but I think its function is to forest cycle more than anything else. Again, Varosh the Hunter deals combat damage to player. You may pay 3. If you do, put 6+1/+1 counters on Varosh. Now, I really have not had a problem with killing my opponents. I just get so far ahead that they can't do anything. Just win the game, right there. So I don't see the point in me swinging with a creature, making it bigger, and then killing them the following turn, because I'm going to win anyway. If it takes me one more turn to be more consistent on winning and not rely on one creature, then I'm going to do it that way. Let me throw these guys in here. So the Carnal Horde Worm, absolutely amazing. Great to be able to recast spells, to bring back the Naya Charm, just as one of those things where you're like, I've got the Naya Charm in my hand, I can do whatever I want with it, whenever I want with it. So I like that aspect of it. Not to mention you can bring back creatures and lands and everything else to thin your deck more so that you just draw creatures. So it's awesome. I like the Carnal Horde Worm. The Enigma Sphinx is cool, but there's so many removal spells. It's blue, and you don't have anything to cascade in from that point. So it's cool if it dies, it just goes back on your library third from the top, but you're also limiting your draws. Now, granted, if they have something bigger than the Enigma Sphinx that you can't deal with, you're probably losing the game anyway. It's just I don't like having that card continuing to go back into my library. The Cascade is cool, but I just wish more things had Cascade. Karavak, the Merciless, it just dies. He costs 6 mana, your opponent's going to be like, I'm going to take 3 life to kill him. Almost every deck can do that. Or I'm going to take 3 life and bounce him, attack you, you're going to play him again, waste your entire turn, and then I'm just going to swing and try and kill him. So, I'm not a fan of them. The Magister Sphinx enters the battlefield, target player's life total becomes 10. It's awesome playing with the Progenitus, but you just don't need it. It's just one of those things that just takes up a spot in the deck that isn't needed. I don't think I'm playing Violent Ultimatum. It might be one that we look at. We'll keep it in there for now. Conflux is cool. It lets you search for a card of each color, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your library. But you really don't need to do that. We have a card that costs 5 mana and lets you draw 5 cards. And most of the time they're better than, you know, just searching, because you're probably going to draw another one and just explode from that point on. It's cool, but you really don't need it again. Death Mutation. Destroy target non-black creature. It can't be regenerated. Put X 1/1 green sapling creature tokens on the battlefield where X is that creature's converted mana cost. Great for killing big things, but you don't need that. You got so many kill cards before it. The Imperial Archangel. All damage that's dealt to you is dealt to Imperial Archangel. It's blue. It costs 8 mana for a 5/8 Flying Shroud. Just not needed. Same thing with Godsire. 8 mana for an 8/8 that puts out 8/8 tokens. It's cool because you can attack with them and then put out an 8/8 token, but it gets to a point where you're like, what are my power cards? What do I want my power cards to be? And you can win with this, with this, with this, with this even. You know, you control the game up to that point, and then you just win with it. Prince of Thralls. Whenever an opponent controls is put in the graveyard, put that into play under your control, unless your opponent pays 3 life. Your opponent's going to pay 3 life. You don't need it. It doesn't trample. He doesn't have any protection. He costs 8 mana. Sphinx of the Steel Wind is scary as hell, but you don't need him. You just don't. He's good, and he's definitely up there. I would definitely consider playing him. And I actually might play him because I can take out the Violent Ultimatum. And, I mean, he is very scary. I'm going to definitely try and keep the Sphinx in here because this isn't that hard to cast 8 mana. And I don't think I had him in here up to that point. But we have to take out a card now. The Glorious Gale of Ayashino is definitely an option because, you know, it's cool, but you might not need it. It's nice to have another target out there early on, but I think you can just wait later and just drop this guy, you know, 3 turns later, 2 turns later, and just win. Because they're going to have a really hard time dealing with him. The black, blue, white are the only ways to deal with him. Red and green, you're just going to block and win and be a total and absolute jerk to all day long. So that might be what I do. I think that's what I'll do. Now again, the cards that are situational are the Pale Recluse. That's definitely an option to take out. Aside from that, I think the deck list is very solid. If you guys have any questions about what's going on with it, anything that I missed or didn't, you know, please feel free to leave a comment below. I love reading them. And let's go through the deck. So, final deck list is 2 Evolving Wilds, 4 Terramorphic Expanses, 4 Rampant Growths, 2 Savage Twisters, 4 Cultivates, 2 Jund Charms, 1 Lavalanche, 2 Maelstrom Pulse, 2 Naya Charm, 1 Pernicious Steed, 3 Vindicate, 1 Day of Judgment, 4 Allied Strategies, 1 Maelstrom Archangel, 2 Broodmate Dragons, 2 Pale Recluse, 1 Carnal Herdworm, 1 Sphinx of the Steel Wind, and 1 Progenitus. So, if you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, comment down below, and I will see you later.